right, Donald Trump is facing the music quite literally. Isaac Hayes' family is now suing him for using the song that you're hearing there. And on top of that, Celine Dion and her team are slamming Trump for using the Titanic song at his rallies without permission. These music battles are obviously nothing new for Trump or his campaign, sometimes honestly for any campaign. But what is different is the role that pop culture seems to be playing in this new matchup between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Joining our fifth seat is the Greer writer and host of the Touré Show podcast, Touré himself. And actually, I'm going to quote Celine Dion. This is what Celine Dion tweeted. "In no way is this use authorized, and Celine Dion does not endorse this or any similar use." And really, that song?
Really?
Which is actually...
Really? No, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's an old song about one of the great disasters in human history.
Trump has a
Everybody
very
in the movie
dramatic
dies almost.
streak.
Why are you using that song? Almost every song he chooses, I'm like, what? At the RNC,
Pavarotti?
he came out to "It's a Man's World," right? Which with him, it gives me toxic masculinity, but he completely misunderstands the song because the core of the song is about, yes, it's a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman, right? Without women, what they bring to the table, the world would be nothing. So you didn't even listen to the song. It's bizarre.
I just had to explain that to my husband the other day about that song. True story. So he's out there listening
and
and will remember.
Memorized.
But I think one of the things, though, that I think everybody forgets is President Trump isn't picking the songs at his rally. He's not sitting down before making a playlist of every single song. I know the president. I know he doesn't do that. Doesn't mean he doesn't like the song.
Why are they
and we can all get together and say that we enjoy a lot of this music. It doesn't matter whether you're Democrat, Republican, liberal, or conservative. Music brings people together, and it always has.
"It's a Man's World" is a fantastic song, but when you put Trump with a song from the 60s, while Kamala's coming with "Freedom," a modern song from the hottest artist in the world right now that's very upbeat and glorious, you're like, she's in the modern world and he's stuck in the past, which is what the conversation has been all about.
Well, also 14 other artists have asked Trump not to play their music, and we can add two more, which is the latest two, Celine Dion and Isaac Hayes' estate. So there's been a lot of artists that want nothing to do with Donald Trump and his ilk, and understandably. Earlier tonight on another channel, Isaac Hayes' son said, listen, I don't want my father's music or his legacy associated with Donald Trump's sexism and racism. So, that's something that these artists are very protective of their intellectual property and their brands, and they don't want their music associated with it.
I just want to explain to the folks, right? If you're in a bar, they can play whatever they want because they are paying into the music industry for the right to play music. At a political rally, at a convention, you cannot play music without express permission from the copyright holder. So he's going out and playing all these songs, Celine Dion, the Sam and Dave song that's owned by the Hayes estate, a White Stripes song, on and on and on, that he's not getting credit for. So here again, the lawlessness and the disrespect for copyrights and
it's consistent. He doesn't pay his bills and anything.
Exactly.
He doesn't pay his contractors. He doesn't pay the cities where he goes and has his rallies. He doesn't pay those police departments. He doesn't pay his lawyers. So
He didn't pay for dinner.
He didn't pay. Right. So this is consistent. He's not paying for music either.
You know what the reality is? Across the country, people are struggling to afford groceries. They're struggling to afford to pay for dinner. That's what they're concerned about when they go into the polls in November. So while we can all talk about this, I don't think the majority of Americans are thinking about what song was played at this rally or whether he was allowed to play it. They don't care.
The principle is that he's a cheater. But here's the principle, though. He's a cheater. He's a cheater. He cheats at golf. He cheats at not paying musicians.
Well, he didn't cheat in 2020, apparently.
Well, no, he's accusing other people of cheating. But according to him, he won.
But I thought he's the cheater.
Things about this moment is that
Fake
while
electors?
Trump is stuck in his favorite songs from his early 20s and 30s, Harris is kind of getting the youth vote on the new stuff. Charlie XCX calling her brat, changing the game on TikTok. Beyonce, you mentioned that. That song, Freedom, now being part of the Harris campaign, has taken the streams up for that song up 1,000% or more. So there is a vibe shift that's almost represented by the pop culture kind of getting into this campaign.
Absolutely. And there's a reason why Ronald Reagan associated himself with Frank Sinatra and old Hollywood, right? It brings more than just the artistry, it brings the culture and the feeling. Trump is trying to reach a certain type of audience with the songs he's selecting, and obviously, Vice President Harris is doing the same. Now, I made note that when she first came out as vice president, she came out to MJB, Mary J. Blige. Yes. And that particular song was about her being self-confident. Freedom is about something beyond her. And when she came out to Freedom, to me, she was communicating something about her campaign as well. You know, the criticism about her initial campaign was that the messaging wasn't clear. We weren't sure why she was running for president. And I think the song that she selected with Mary J. Blige kind of emulated that.
And you think that fills in for her lack of policy?
That was
proposal?
right,
Yeah.
exactly. That was worth that. It was worth that. And
Worth that.
And now she's with Freedom. She has a message that you can rally around, and it doesn't sound like she's searching for who she is.
But
she
where are her
knows who she
policies?
is.
Where are her
But we're
proposals?
talking
What is
about
she going to bring to the
looking
table?
forward. We're talking about liberation. We're talking about moving forward. We're also talking about he wants to be a dictator. I'm talking about freedom. That's what he's talking about. All these messages connect you to the candidate in a way that many other things cannot.
It's interesting, you know, Trump. I don't know. I think the Harris campaign is perhaps thinking about it that way. For Trump, as someone I covered him for a long time, some of these are just songs he really likes.
Right.
Okay?
Like YMCA. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah,
right?
some of these,
It's
and
just
actually,
a rally song.
I mean, you probably remember at the RNC, they had this whole like kitschy video of him dancing to YMCA.
It's
and
very weird.
Some of this is just Trump being a creature of the things that he likes from decades
Entertainment.
ago, and from his lifestyle as a
Yeah.
mover and shaker in New York.
As a reality show star. I mean, that's what it's about. It's about entertainment. But I think to Tore's point about that music speaks to people in a way, you're sending messages. And I think that, you know, the point, I'm glad you brought it up about the RNC. The coming out to It's a Man's World, and most people not really even listening to like the actual
really
song,
about.
right? It's kind of like
Yeah.
Born on the 4th of July, you know, or Born in the USA. But that was such a hyper masculine display that evening with Hulk Hogan tearing
That's
off
the
his shirt and
context
the
of it.
Dana
It
White.
wasn't just the song.
It wasn't just the song. That was clearly sending a message. And Donald Trump does pick out these things, you know, all the way down to certain details. So all of that is purposeful. It was sending a message. For
sure.
Also, like picking J.D. Vance. Sending a message.
that's
Not
definitely
exactly,
supposed
you
to
know,
send a
for the
message,
women,
for sure.
not for the ladies.
Everyone, hold on. We've got much more ahead. Coming up next, the panel will give us their nightcaps.